Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I think the first thing, I was asked by the chairman of the select board, he would like to make a statement. I'm not sure. Oh, there we
Thank
go.
you, Mr. Matthews.
Yeah.
Dan Davenport, Chairman of the Select Board. The selectmen originally had recessed their August 30th meeting for this evening in hopes of being able to interview the applicants along with the planning board. We checked with our legal counsel and she checked with the Office of Open Meeting Law, and they said that we had to post it within 48 hours, even though we could recess, it had to be 40-hour posting. Our meeting didn't end Monday night until 8 o'clock, so we missed it by like 2 hours. So we can't participate in tonight's meeting other than to be here as citizens and listen. And I just want to make for the record.
Very good. Thank you. All right. So the first order of business this evening is because we've had a couple people leave the board, we need to vote for an interim chair.
I would make a motion to vote Mr. Matthews as interim chair for the planning board.
You sure?
By default.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I vote for myself?
I'm putting 2-0.
Pretty much so. Okay. The next thing is to vote to determine the action on the board vacancies. What we're going to be doing tonight is we'll be interviewing 3 candidates. There is also, I think till September 8th, if I'm correct in saying that, 7th, I'm sorry, September 7th, they'll be open for more applicants. So we are going to allow, oh, sorry.
We have to.
We got to do this first. Sorry. Well, let me finish.
Yeah.
Okay, so since I'm the interim chair, I got some paperwork to sign, but other than that, we've allotted a half hour for each of the 3 applicants. Let's see. Yeah. So what I've just signed is to the Board of Selectmen from John Matthews, the interim chair. The date is September 1st, 2021, and the subject is Planning Board Vacancies. This memo serves as notification to the Board of Selectmen that the Planning Board has 2 vacancies as a result of 2 resignations that were effective August 26th, 2021. You'll forward this
I'll
to.
give it to the selectman right now.
There you go. Okay,
outside and I'll deliver it right away.
Yes,
very
can you-
good.
Can I get a copy of that since he just signed it,
Sure.
please,
thank you.
tomorrow? Thank you.
So with that said, I think I have to read one more thing, I believe. And what that is the mask update. The updated CDC guidance continues to state that individuals who are fully vaccinated may, as a general matter, resume many of the activities that they engaged in prior to the pandemic without wearing a mask or staying 6 feet apart, except where otherwise required by federal, state, or local laws, rules, or regulations in response to the recent spread of the Delta variant. However, the CDC's updated guidance does recommend that even fully vaccinated persons wear masks or face covering when indoors if other risk factors are present. In light of the information provided by the CDC and in order to maximize protection of vulnerable individuals from the Delta variant, the Department of Public Health now advises that a fully vaccinated person should wear a mask or face covering when indoors and not in your own home. If you have a weakened immune system, or if you are at increased risk for severe disease because of your age or underlying medical condition, or if someone in your household has a weakened immune system is at increased risk for severe disease or is unvaccinated. Okay? Good.
Good job.
Oh, yeah. So that's okay. Let me, I'm just going to explain the process, what it has been in the past. The planning board, when they had a vacancy, would vet the people or the interview the people, the candidates that have applied. After they meet with the candidates and discuss, they would make recommendations and meet with the select board. At that point in time, the select board and the planning board vote on to, I'm going to say, to appoint them to the position that has been vacated. That position that is vacated is for a term up to, I believe, the time at which we vote in May. I think that's how it works. Okay, so with that said, that has been the process. I know there was some discussion at the selectmen's meeting the other night, but that has been the process. If we want to change the process, we'd be open to change that process and discuss it with the selectmen, okay? But right now, we are going to continue with the process as it stands. Everybody understand that? Go ahead, sure. Yep. That being said, I will reiterate, we did get, I have 7 questions that the chairman for the select board did provide to me. I will be asking those questions. My associates here will ask their questions, and then I will ask some of my questions if we have time. Like I said, we're allotting a half hour per person. No joke?
Not here yet.
Okay, you got somebody on your phone. Okay. Okay. And the other thing is, I'm not going to, because of time, I'm not going to open up questions for the public. Okay, at this time, no questions of the applicants by the public. There'll only be questions from the board. Good. So we'll wait for the first person.
Mr. Chair, first one's at 6:15, right?
Correct.
So we got a few minutes.
Yeah. Do you like to-
Folks can relax, I think.
I don't
Chit
know.
chat. We don't really have any other business until 6:15.
You
so.
did include.
John Flynn's got a question.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
John, if you got 2 minutes while you're waiting, can you just give me a quick update on Kitty Lane? Basically, are you waiting on the applicant to proceed, basically?
Yes, we are. Kibbe Lane is in limbo right now. There was some litigation that's going on. And at that time, it was the litigation is supposed to, I think sometime in mid-September, okay? If it happens.
But it doesn't involve the town.
It is not, no,
I
it's,
think there was misinformation online. It's some personal civil litigation.
you are
It
correct.
Yeah, it has something to do with it has to do with the deal between the developer and landowners. It's in court right now, and it's been in court for quite some time.
So we stand ready to do what we can do as soon as it's
resolved.
Right, there's some things that need to be done. Mark Langoni, the superintendent, highway superintendent, has given us a list of things that he would like to have done. Some of the things are the drains need to be cleaned, et cetera, et cetera. So
normal.
when that is completed, we would go forward at town meeting, okay, and ask for acceptance of that street.
I think we're done with the wintering over, right? It's been 15 winters.
At least. It's- Yeah, probably gonna go on in a couple more years to be repaid.
Heather?
Okay. Sure.
Hi, I'm gonna put a chair over here so that's so far. Yeah, right, Samantha said it. It's easier to talk. Sure.
Hi, Heather.
Hi, how are you?
Good. My name's John Matthews. I'm the interim chair at this time for the planning board. And to my left is Jason Barroso.
Yep.
How'd I do?
You
Okay.
think you got it right?
Okay. And Madison Pixley.
Hi.
You met previously with us, I think it was last year.
That's right.
You showed an interest in becoming a member of the planning board. So you want me to ask the questions for this?
Yes, please.
The chairman of the select board, you can, yeah. The chairman of the select board has 7 questions that he would like. He's in attendance here. And then I'm going to turn it over to my associates here, and then I have some questions. also,
Okay, sure.
We're gonna, about a half hour is what
Okay.
we're looking at, okay? It's like speed dating, I guess.
I've never done that.
Neither have I. Okay. The first question, this is from the selectman. What experience do you have in reading, writing, or interpreting regulations in law?
Oh, well, I don't know if you have a copy of my CV or not, but I do have copies if you want them. Would you like them? Yeah. Okay. In addition to being a registered nurse for 45 years or so, I'm also an attorney. And I practiced medical malpractice defense litigation for 14 years with Morris & Mahoney. And have maintained my license as an attorney since 1999.
Okay, so you're,
So I have a lot of experience in
Yes.
that area.
so you do have some
Yes.
regulations, laws
Yes.
experience, okay. The next question is, describe any experience you have had working as a member of a board or commission in or outside of government.
Board or commission? Well, the word board is a little confusing. I don't think I've ever served on anything that is referred to as a board. But my most recent full-time position, which I retired from last year, I was the Senior Director of Clinical Safety and Risk Management for Bay State Health Systems. And in that position, I served on a lot of committees with many of the higher level administrators, CEOs, CMOs, et cetera. So I've had a great deal of 6.5 years experience doing that.
Working with committees or.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yep. Very good. Third question is, what experience do you have in reading and interpreting blueprints, plot plans, or schematics?
I have almost no experience in that, with the exception of buying homes. And I've purchased, I think it's 5 different homes over the course of my life.
Okay,
Um,
so yeah, you know what a plot plan is?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
yep.
Mhm.
Very good. Fourth question is, very briefly, describe and impression or facts you know about the town of Hampden and its future.
Oh, my. Well, my husband and I and family have lived here for a little over 30 years. And in fact, we left and moved to upstate New York in the middle of that after 5 years. And when we left New York, we came directly back to Hampton, which should speak to our view of what a great small town and friendly place this is. We didn't want to go back and live anywhere other than Hampton. As far as the future of Hampden goes, I hope that Hampden will maintain its, I guess it's friendly family charm would be a great word. That would be a great word. The peace and quiet that it provides us, and the friendly neighborhood atmosphere that we have. And that's really important to us, and that's why we plan to stay here until the end, shall we say.
And hopefully that's a
Yes.
long time away, right?
Let's hope.
Yes.
30 more years.
Although this can take the light body.
Yeah.
What steps do you take when analyzing a complex problem?
Oh, this is something that I actually love to do, and was one of the things that I loved doing when I practiced nursing, when I practiced law, and when I was the director of risk management for Bay State. You know, first of all, you have to get all the information. And that was always a pet peeve of mine. People that would work for me would come into me and want me to solve a problem. And I, you know, start to ask for the information and they wouldn't have it. And I would have to send them back their merry little way and, you know, get more information, because without information, you can't even start to analyze a problem. So you have to have information, and then you have to, as in the case of anything pertaining to the law, you have to understand the law, the regulations, the bylaws, whatever it is you're working with, that would impact any decision or analysis. And then you have to do a very thoughtful, just a very thoughtful, steady analysis of the problem and the issues, and looking at the different possibilities of where you might take a problem or try to solve a problem. You also have to get input from all of the stakeholders whenever you're trying to solve a problem. And then try to draft and carefully look at all of the options and then review it with stakeholders again.
Thank you. The sixth question, if you were on the other side of the table and you were interviewing someone for this vacancy, what traits would you be looking for?
Well, I'd want to know why they want to do this. That's number one. I would want someone who is thoughtful, who is a good problem solver, who is dependable, and who will take care and critically review any issue that comes before them.
The last question, what do you see is the mission of the planning board?
Well, I'm not 100% sure of what the mission of the planning board is, but I would hope the mission of the planning board is to maintain the integrity of this town, and to perhaps improve anything that might be able to be improved, to analyze any issue within the bounds of the law carefully and with the best interest of the town at heart.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Jason.
Sure. Good to see you again.
Hi, good to see you.
So actually, it would have segued right into your questions, you know, John.
These are,
Yeah,
which one?
yours.
Okay.
Into why do you want to become a member of the
Yeah.
planning board?
Yeah.
That's, so, yeah, that's okay.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming back, and
Sure.
I appreciate you still being interested.
Yes.
I certainly appreciate the fact that you've been in Hampden for 30 years. I really like the way how you detailed analyzing the problem. It was very thoughtful. As far as my questions are concerned, I'm wondering if you have any economic development experience at all, if you've ever been on any, these are
Yeah,
specific
sure.
to my background.
Right,
kinda,
yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
so any economic development background, real estate development, or land use planning, do you have any experience in that?
I don't specifically at all. I mean, just, you know, ad lib here. I actually took a real estate course pass the
Okay.
exam. I never used it, but I thought it was fascinating, and
Yep.
so I did this. And that's something I like to do. I like to take classes and courses and learn new things. But other than that, doing budget work for my department at Bay State Health, I would say that's probably about the most I can give you there.
Right, but no, that actually, so can you go into any detail about how you would do, what your budget work entailed for your department?
Oh,
Just
we
so-
were, well, you have to understand with healthcare, budgets are a little different than other places. You know, you have so many employees and you have to budget out where you're going to save the money every year when the CEO tells you that you have to cut costs.
Yep.
Also where you're going to eliminate staff if that's necessary. We had to do reduction in forces a couple of times and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of your previous, when you were talking about analyzing a problem, this is off script for me, this wasn't one of my prepared questions, but when you were talking about analyzing a problem, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, you know, personality tests and having the various, I assume if you're in management, you do, but
Right.
where, yeah, that's exactly it. How does emotion play into your decision making? Some folks react immediately based on emotion and then take some time to digest. Other folks, other folks won't react and will digest everything. Like, where do you fall on that spectrum
Yeah.
of reaction, I guess?
I've taken a number of these personality tests. I've administered some of them. And then through my years of experience, I think I've pretty much developed into a person who is very adamant about not being emotional, getting the facts, trying to analyze the facts. And, you know, in particular, well, both in all three careers that I've had, you can't react emotionally. I mean, as an intensive care nurse, you know, you can't react emotionally. You have to be factual. You have to have control of your emotions. And you have to do what's best for your patient, your family, and be a good communicator. As an attorney sitting in front of a judge and litigating a case, emotions don't get you very far, in particular in front of judges. And then as the director of risk management at Bay State, one of our goals in that department was to eliminate medical error. And in doing that, there's a lot of teaching involved and a lot of counseling of providers, you know, healthcare providers. Being emotional doesn't get you anywhere with them, you know. So that's the way I do it.
Yeah, perfect. And then and these may seem that they don't have to do with planning per se, but it's certainly something that I think is important when you're sitting on any board or committee. But one of the other hats I wear in town is on the Board of Assessors. So whenever I'm sitting on this board, I'm constantly thinking, I'll constantly take into account tax revenue and as a factor. Is that something that you would think is something that should be considered in this
I would think
arena?
so.
Okay.
I mean, tax revenue, you know, the money that comes in, the money that goes out, I mean, that's sort of important to any kind of planning, I would think, for any kind of a business, let alone a town.
Yes.
But I have no experience in that. I'm just saying, you know, that seems very logical to me.
And that's all I had. Thank you very much.
I don't have too many because we covered a lot of my questions, but I guess just how do you think all of your career paths have set you up to be a good member of the planning board?
Well, I don't have very specific information, I'll be honest with you, exactly what the role of the planning board is in detail, okay? But I feel very competent based on all the experience I've had over the last 45 years or so, that I could join any group that is interested in trying to solve problems, interested in trying to analyze issues that are important to people, and be able to be a good analyzer and problem solver. I mean, I just, I feel very comfortable coming to you and saying, I think I can help.
Mhm.
I will need to learn things that I don't know, but I love to learn things, and that's what I've done my whole life, so. But I would love to help.
That's why you went to law school after
Yeah.
retiring from nursing?
Well, no, actually, I went to law school in my
Wow.
40s.
Oh, did you?
So, yeah, so I
Oh, geez.
nursing for 20 some odd years, law school for 14 years, and then the risk management. Yeah. So, yeah.
Good, Matt. Okay. I got a couple of questions. Some of them are somewhat personal or could be
Sure.
somewhat personal.
Okay.
Okay. My first question was, why do you have an interest in the planning board? And obviously you answered that already.
Right. Well, and I've done a lot of volunteer work in my life. Starting when I was 12, and then again when I was 14, and then again in my later teens. And when I came to Hampden, I was a den mother when my kids were little. And then I also, when I was in my 40s somewhere, I was on the Cultural Commission, and then I served as the chairperson of the Cultural Commission here for 2 years. And I haven't done any since then because I then went to law school and had a 60-hour-a-week job and teenagers, et cetera. And I'd like to get back into doing that kind of work now that I'm retired. Yeah.
And that another question, I think, is, do you have a background in town or city government? And really
No.
none.
No.
So we've got a couple of professions.
Mhm.
And right now it looks like 2021 to present, you're doing per diem nursing.
I'm giving vaccinations.
Oh, okay.
How appropriate.
Good
thing you read that.
That's what it
And if
was, yeah.
anyone needs one, they're opening up again on September 20th. Yeah.
Can I get a
Yeah.
third?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, I mean, last year, as soon as I was able to get vaccinated, I called them and said,
You're
I can give
available.
vaccinations. So just a day or so a week,
Okay,
I go and give vaccinations.
very good. Yeah. So this leads into, are you flexible, your schedule? And I'm asking that is, if we get busy, our traditional thing is the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month.
Right.
But if we get busy, are you available for more meetings?
Oh, of course.
You
yeah.
are.
I completely retired.
Yeah.
From my full-time work a year ago in May. This is August or September now, I guess. And I'm getting pretty bored, to be quite honest
Okay.
with you. And so I have, I have nothing else that I'm committed to.
Obvious as an attorney, are you comfortable speaking to make a point in front of people as well as it's televised?
Yes,
You're comfortable.
yes.
Okay. And here's where it may get a little, are you part of any social media?
Like
Any, are you a member of any social media?
I'm signed up to Facebook, but I never go on it.
Okay,
And that's it.
that's fine.
I'm not comfortable with social media, I'll tell you, technically,
Okay,
nor the havoc that it can wreak.
Mhm.
So that's it. I do know that there is a posting of me on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Okay.
As I know. Yeah, but I never go on any of them.
That's fine. Are you part of any special interest groups in the town at this time?
No.
And are you familiar with the town bylaws?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
No.
but obviously you're willing to learn.
I'm sorry?
Obviously, you're willing to learn.
Oh, yes, I would love to have one of those books that I see you guys are sitting around and start reading.
They are online. It is online. Anyways, very good. Yeah, I don't think I have any other questions.
No, I don't have any other questions. That works out very well. I was
So
happy with that.
I'm not opening up any questions to the public.
Okay,
Okay. What we will, the process is basically, we, meaning these members that are with me here tonight, we will review together, okay, the three of us, and come forward with, right now, there's two other candidates besides yourself,
Mhm.
and there may be more, okay? So, and we will, at that point, we would bring the nomination forward to the Board of Selectmen, where we have a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen, and you would either be nominated or whatever. So
Okay.
that's the kind of the process,
Okay.
okay? But we would let you know,
Okay, thank
all
you.
right?
Mhm.
Very good. Any questions of us? Heather, anything?
No.
No?
I think I'm fine. Yeah.
Good?
Okay,
Yes. Again, thank you very much
okay.
for your time.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the candidateness,
Okay,
and
all right. Thank you.
Take
Have a
care.
good evening.
Thank you again.
Okay.
we did pretty good. We did it in like 15, 16 minutes. So
Okay. Have a good evening.
thank you again.
Thank you. Heather, where are you parked?
Oh, I'm parked out back.
You can go up and out this way or right out this door.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good one. Can you bring my car up, John?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes,
Can I have her last name? I never caught it.
sure. It's the spelling is BEATTIE.
Great. Thank you.
Quarter off. No. That would be 1,845. Huh? He said in the email, it'd be there 1845.
Yeah, actually just sign up for.
Oh, nice.
And that's the masters in engineering.
Oh, nice.
Right, my first master's.
They're all in draft. I want to approve them all. I have no minutes to sign at their next meeting.
These are from
She did. My daughter did this, and I want to go through and approve them and make sure. Huh?
Oh, so you're parents. Yeah, so Tracy like runs it now.
she's not advanced work. Oh, yeah. She
So they are. She's worked on school systems. She did tutoring. No, together they both worked in summer school. They loved it. In summer school, they assign them to a child. And assign them to a classroom, so they work one-on-one. It's good, it's a nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
Huh? I know, that's what I said. But at least he knows the process.
No, it was good.
I like it.
Is it still the same? So. Is it her husband or is it the other guy from Texas?
Oh, I didn't get to I watched it probably the first 20 minutes. The ending. I missed that.
Susan was the guy from Texas who kept talking about their business. Yeah.
You don't have to subscribe. I got stuck in the same rule. You don't have to, you just go to your email. Just log in. So then give you pictures. I know, because I kept, I was trying to screenshot it, I was let me see some of it, I was trying to screenshot it, I get some of it, but then I put my email on. You don't have to.
Of course, different guys.
Yeah. Sometimes. So we can. Not bad. This is oh my God. Yeah.
No, but
That was from the last. She was here. He was kind. It's not a lot of people. Who brought it.
Good luck. I mean, I have the same question.
Well, I was like,
Your interpretation.
registrations.
well, I saw your.
Yes.
My sound was but he's not around. You've been here before. You've sat. Right. Has anybody?
Yes.
13. Here's somebody down
Yeah, John's on the board will interview. 5:45 on board interviews.
That's okay. Sit down, relax. How do you want, David, okay?
Sure.
Okay. How you doing tonight, David?
Awesome. Yourself?
Good, good, thank you. What we're doing is we're interviewing candidates for the positions. We have 2 positions open, as you probably know, for the planning board. We will leave this, it's open until the 7th of September. for any additional candidates. Right now, you're the second of 3 people that we're going to interview tonight. So we have some questions for you. And what I'd like to do is the chairman for the Board of Selectmen has provided me with 7 questions that he would like to have answered, which I will ask you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then I'm going to turn it over to my associates, Jason Barroso and Madison Pixley. And then I have some questions of my own to ask, okay?
Yes, sir.
We're going to try and do this within a half hour. The last one was 16 minutes, but whatever. So there's no record, okay? So, very good. Okay, so the first thing, we got your biography here, David, and the first question, this is from the Board of Selectmen, the chairman from the Board of Selectmen. What experience do you have in reading, writing, or interpreting regulations and law?
I have 0 interpreting law. I've been a correction officer for 12 years. I have been a steward for 11 of those 12 years for the Department of Corrections, the state of Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
So I can't really say that there's laws, but there's rules and regulations that, obviously the lieutenants need to follow, for the officers and so on and so forth. And so I've been representing, my fellow officers for the rules and regulations that the state of Connecticut has put forth for us.
Yep.
So for the last 11 years out of the 12 that I've been a CO, I've been interpreting those, not only for the correction officers, but for the lieutenants too.
Yes.
And so in the same process, I'm how do you say, I'm helping the COs and I'm helping the lieutenants at the same time. I'm helping both sides.
Yeah.
Interpretate, hey, this is interpreted this way, but it can be interpreted this way if you read it this way. But in the bottom line, looking at previous cases when this guy was corrected or wasn't corrected, this is the total outcome.
Okay.
When somebody gets in trouble, I'm right there making sure that, the lieutenants and the captains are following what they're supposed to be. And I'm there making sure that the COs are following what they're supposed to be. Kind of like an interpreter, but as a steward, there's more, involved. Like you have to know some of the rules and regulations on both sides.
Yep. Yep, understand. The second question is, describe any experience you have had working as a member of a board or a commission in or outside of the government.
In or outside? Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Describe any experience you have had working as a member of a board or a commission in or outside of the government.
So as a steward, we have many boards. Like we have, kind of like a planning board, and we have a morale board and stuff like that. Like I've been part, I can't tell you exactly which one I've been part of because it's just a never ending battle. It's just ongoing. So I've done some work on that. When in the military, I was an acting first sergeant. I don't know if any of you guys ever been in the military or know what a first sergeant does. A first sergeant is in direct line of their commander. That's the highest person of the unit. And I was on a first sergeant board as an acting first sergeant for almost 2 years. A first sergeant in the military does all the morale, they do all the correcting. If a commander comes down and says, this is what they want, it's the first sergeant's responsibility to pass that out to the unit. It's good or bad.
Right.
It could be, hey, I want this to happen and half the unit doesn't like it and the other half does. You have to figure out how to get the bad half to come on board. But it starts with the senior staff. That's the E7s and above. By getting with them and you sit down at a round table with the senior staff and you explain to them, hey, this is what the commander wants. We may like it, we may not like it, but we need to project this to the unit in a good way. And I've had a lot of experience doing that.
Okay. Good. The third question What experience do you have in reading and interpreting blueprints, plot plans, or schematics?
So I got my hunting license a couple years ago, and I've been trying to figure out where I could hunt and could not hunt. So I know I called somebody here in the town hall and I asked them, how do I go on and, look at the lines and stuff like that? And they gave me this website. I forgot exactly what it is. And I was doing a lot of searching on that. In the military, they drop you off in the middle of nowhere and say, figure your way out. I mean, I know that's not, but I know looking at like the website and showing where the lines are and, and you're looking at what's around it and the degrees and.
I mean, you're familiar with GPS, obviously.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Maps and site plans aren't very different.
So not to age myself, but when I grew up, that's all we had was maps.
Right.
We didn't have telephones. I mean, I drove for a company called McLean Northeast. They were a subsidy of Walmart. This was when I was 18, 19 years old. And I used to go way up to Burlington, Vermont. Like, I didn't even know where Burlington, Vermont was when I was 19 years old.
Right.
And they were like, here's all the maps you need, figure it out.
That's it.
I mean, yes, I can read and interpret maps and GPS.
Good. The fourth question is very briefly describe an impression or facts you know about the town of Hampden and its future.
Well, you want facts. I've only been a resident of the town for 2 years.
Mhm.
I actually looked back today. I was like, that's probably going to be one of the questions on there. I can't remember the dates and stuff like that, but I can go back to, we used to be a mill town and we used to be a subsidy of Wilbraham. So it was a Hampden South, Wilbraham South, they used to call it.
South Wilbraham. Yeah.
South Wilbraham. And they actually got away from it because there wasn't enough, waters to get the lumber to where they needed to go. They used the Scantic, and that's actually how they built this, was from the Scantic. Everyone, went right around the water because that's what they did back in the days.
Right. It was a mill town.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was purchased from an Indian tribe.
Okay. You're getting pretty in depth. I wouldn't
Probably
worry.
knows more
I
than us
wouldn't.
on
I
that.
wouldn't worry about that.
So
Yeah.
I came to this town. If you want to add this to the question or not,
Yeah.
I came to this town because it was a small, quiet town.
Mhm.
I grew up in Holyoke.
Yeah.
I lived in Springfield for 20 years, and I was tired of it. I was tired of being in the city. I wanted to be somewhere where I had my little plot of land and I could just do what I need to do, obviously within the rules of the town and so on and so forth. After living in Springfield, it's so much easier to live here.
Yes. Yeah.
And we have a nice, happy family up there. Since we moved in, my daughter had 2 children. So we added 2 more to the town.
Yeah.
One's 18 months and one's a month old.
Okay.
And I'm a proud grandfather. And I just wanted to be somewhere where I could, eventually, be part of the town.
Right.
And that's where, like when they had the elections and stuff like that coming on, and I thought about it, I saw, the process of how to do it. And I was like, I've only been in the town for maybe 6 months to a year. I thought it was too early. But when I was in Springfield, I wanted to do something, but I didn't think because it was being such a big town to be part of it. I didn't think my voice would be heard or,
Right.
and you have to start small. You got to start somewhere. It's not like I'm going for the town mayor or, you know what I mean? It's just, that's just way too big out of my range right now. But being 25 years in the military, in the next couple of years, I'm going to retire.
Yeah.
And I need something to do.
Okay. Yep. That's fine. That's fine. The fifth question is, what steps do you take when analyzing a complex problem?
what steps do you take when you analyze a complex problem? Well, the first thing you do is you sit back and you look at all the information and put it in well, I'm old school. I'd put it in piles and write notes on this one, notes on this one. I'd, diversify, look at the goods, the bads, write a good list, a bad list. I would go to books and see what could be done, what the books say, going back to the Stewart and helping out, interpreting. This is interpreted this way, this is interpreted this way. So this could be something, this could not be, put it on the do's and you have a few lists there and you just got to analyze it, use fresh ideas, looking to see what actually can be done within the rules, obviously.
Right.
But
Yeah. Good. So this is the sixth question. If you were on the other side of the table and you were interviewing someone for this vacancy, what traits would you be looking for?
I would personally be looking for somebody that has fresh ideas, someone that is not one-sided towards, I know where we're getting at with this whole business thing. I might as well just bring it up now. I'm indifferent.
Yeah.
I don't care if it happens or if it doesn't happen. It doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. It comes down to whatever is black and white. It was voted in, bottom line.
Whatever.
And it was voted in, a few years ago, and it can't be changed unless it's voted on again. But obviously the person going through it has already done all their work. They're doing site surveys, but it doesn't matter. It comes down to whatever the bylaws are when it's black and white. So I will look for somebody more indifferent.
Good. And the last question is, what do you see as the mission of the planning board?
Say that again,
Yeah.
please.
What do you see is the mission of the planning board?
Good answer.
Good, for a military guy, that's
So
kind of a dangerous question, but go ahead.
the mission of the planning board, in my eyes, would be, looking at the future of Hampden. Looking where there's property that obviously that if it's labeled residential, let's try to create some growth. If it's homes or if it's, hey, I own this farm, it's 500 acres, but I want to sell half of it and make it residential, then, obviously it would have to get voted on and so on and so forth. I'd be looking at the future of Hampden to grow. I mean, I don't want things to be sitting around, and obviously we could get more taxes back into the town and more funding. If we just have land just sitting there, not doing anything, I mean, let's look at something that we could do. Another idea that I would have is meeting with other small towns, their planning boards. Maybe if I was to make the planning board, I would ask, can we go meet with Wilbraham? Can we go meet with Bunsen? What have they done to increase, their planning, and maybe we can learn something from them. Let's look at the past. Let's look at what worked and what hasn't worked. And let's make our town what we want it to be.
Very good. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to, you want to, Maddie,
you
or
go first.
Yeah,
I'm still taking notes.
Maddie?
Sorry if I.
That's okay.
That's, no, perfect.
I can repeat it.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
So I wrote something down that you said about how when your military experience, how you kind of deal with a good half and a bad half to get the bad half to come on board, you said. So do you have any techniques or methods that you find successful in doing that, or?
Techniques or methods is kind of when you go to the military, we kind of tell them, but then, you gotta tell people what the bright side of it is, what the future is going to be. And you want to stay positive. If you don't stay positive, then you're going to feed the bad side, and you don't want to feed that bad side. You want to stay positive. You want to keep them on track. You want to keep going with, brighter ideas.
How's that?
Yeah.
Jason, you good?
Good. Bear with me a second. I
Take
had
your
some,
Take your time, yeah.
first and foremost, thank you for your service.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
I had some questions here that are kind of from my perspective and what my professional background is. I think you've already covered. Well, actually, I'll ask them, but do you have any experience with economic development, real estate development, or land use planning? And I'm kind of asking this question to see what, whether you've been in charge of budgets, bringing in revenue, have you looked at projects before that involve?
So
Yep.
I haven't actually dealt with any projects.
Yep.
I can tell you that straight up. I have done a lot of budgeting
Yep.
with the military because everything that we do costs money. And every year the government shortfalls us money, so we have to figure out how to do more with less.
Okay.
I've done, actually applied for the next position, a chief position is the highest you can go. And a lot of that is funding and how to get things done with less and how to get training done when it costs this much. For instance, like I can bring in 7 E3s, but I can only bring in 2 E7s, but what can I get more done with?
Right.
So by having the right 7 versus the 2, I'm getting more manpower with the 7. So it's kind of,
Yep.
Working back and forth with numbers.
Yep. And then I'm pretty sure I'm gonna know your answer to this, but how does emotion play into your decision-making process? What do you feel the role of emotion is in your decision-making process?
Going back to it's black or white when it really comes down to a decision. If it's right here, black and white on paper, there's no emotion in it whatsoever. I don't have any emotions in my decisions unless it comes to my family. I mean,
It's honest.
Appreciate it. That's it. And just like you, I honestly just came to town 4 years ago now. So I really appreciate you coming forward and trying to get involved.
I'm trying, sir.
Yep, appreciate it. You're doing a great job. I think that's all I really got for right now. Good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions myself, okay? So these are for myself. And why do you have an interest in the planning board?
I have an interest in the planning board because like I said, I'm gonna be retiring in a few years.
Yeah.
I'm young. I'm coming forth with maybe some bright ideas, maybe thinking outside the box from not being part of, of politics or any of that in the past.
Right.
Just having fresh ideas. I don't know very many. I know my 3 neighbors. I know Ed, Paula, and Fran. That's all they know in this town. And in last year during the COVID-19, I was one of the trucks that we went down for the Memorial Day parade on the side of the road and met this gentleman over here that lives around the corner. I really don't know anybody here. So going back to, I really don't have any emotion into decision-making, but I want to get involved. I'm a little on the younger side and I like to come with fresh ideas.
One of the other ones was, do you have any background in town or city government? And really,
That is a no, sir.
right, yeah. So your profession, if I'm correct in saying this, it must be union wise, am I correct, down with the corrections officer?
Yes, that's all you
It's all union. So you
Yes, sir.
deal with union workers quite a
all the
bit,
time. Yes, sir.
right? And you mediate between, I'm going to say, union and non-union.
No. And the COs are MP4s, the
Okay.
lieutenants and the captains are MP8s.
Okay, so they're all.
So we're going between union and union. So the MP8s have their interpretation
Two
and the
different
MP,
unions.
yes, and the MP4s have our interpretations. So
Okay.
it's a battle.
It can get convoluted.
It can get heated and, you just kind of stay positive and, and you do what you need to do to just keep both sides happy. But in the end, we are comparing the MP8 to the MP4 contract.
Okay,
And and as a steward, we live by those contracts. That's our Bible.
yep. are you flexible with your schedule? In other words, right now, we meet the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month. If we get busy, is that a problem with having more meetings?
As long as it's not on a Monday.
Okay. It's Monday night football. It's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in a pool league.
Oh, okay.
I shoot pool. That is my night out away from the house, and that is my relaxing time.
That's-
And
Works for me.
I play golf on Fridays.
So there you go. Yeah.
Let's see. me.
So the next question, are you comfortable speaking to make a point in front of people? Obviously,
yes, sir, I am.
you are. Yeah. Are you part of any social media?
I can delete my Facebook if
Oh,
you want.
no, you're part of Facebook. Okay. I don't have a problem with that, you know. Does it help you influence you to make any decisions?
No,
Okay. Are you in any special interests in special interest groups in town?
no,
Sounds like no.
No.
Yeah. And are you familiar with the town bylaws?
I am not, but won't take me long to catch up.
Okay.
I give you my word.
Yep. Not a problem. Not a problem. Okay. Good.
What kind of hunting? Bow, shotgun?
That's important.
Shotgun, deer hunting. I actually went not last Tuesday, Tuesday before.
This is not an interview question, by the way.
So I got my shotgun for Christmas, and the first time I shot it was last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went clay pigeon shooting,
Nice,
and I did really good.
nice.
And I tried different ammos, and I got some kicks, and I have nothing but bruising on my body.
Springfield Sportsman's Club or somewhere else?
No, it was actually out in Connecticut. I don't even know the name of it. It's on Tuesdays at 9:15 in the morning. You bring 4 boxes of ammo and $10, and you can shoot all you want.
Just curious.
And you don't have to be a member.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
I think I know. Is it off of 140?
It's right in Broadbrook area.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's right over the little train tracks and
Yep.
it's right on the left. Yeah,
Yep.
right
I
there.
know, just, yes. Okay, so the process is that the 3 members here would get together and we will discuss, you know, the candidates, okay? Like I said, there's 3 candidates tonight. There may be more coming, okay? And what we will do is we would notify you, and we had then go forward to the Board of Selectmen with a joint meeting with our recommendations, okay? And then we vote on to have you join the board or not, you know what I'm saying? okay?
Absolutely.
All right. I appreciate your time. Is there any other questions you have?
I actually don't have any questions. I had a really good meeting today. This was actually great.
Okay.
I thought it was gonna be more formal, but this is actually, it got me to talk more because it was more open.
You met a couple other people too in town.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, 3 people now. Madison, Jason, and John.
Yeah.
And I did notice you were on 2 different positions.
Yes, he is.
I'd just like to thank all of you, everybody else that's here, for giving me the opportunity. And if you select me, I will not let you down and give you my word.
I appreciate that. David, thank you. Thank you.
You parked in back there in front.
Yeah, so if you want,
If I use that door, it's the closest.
Oh,
yeah,
there you go. Go
that's
for it.
that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Demers.
Oh. You need to spell it or?
Need the spelling, or you guys got it? Demers. Yeah. No, it was, this is pretty impressive. So far, to be honest with you.
Yes.
It's not.
No, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying it's unusual.
So here.
That's what I was thinking. Maureen.
Here you go.
Oh, yeah.
What's that? Oh, hey, how are you?
Yeah, you know,
Mark is here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't know that was her. Were you sitting there all this time? And I went down there to see you. I don't know who you are.
30 seconds, took me like 30 seconds to process what you just said. I was like, oh, it is okay.
Hi, I just went down to look for you.
Oh, they were just asking, do they know you're here? I'm like,
No.
Oh,
I don't.
okay. Come on up. Mhm.
How are you?
Good, thanks. So you've been here, you heard what we had said.
I did. I hope that was allowed. I thought it was.
It's okay.
Okay.
So anyways, yeah. We're interviewing a couple other candidates. You're one of them, okay? And there may be more in the future. This is open till the 7th of September. So any other candidates that may come forward, we would have to interview them also, okay? So I will find questions from. There. Okay, so to start this off, I will again ask the questions from the chairman from the select board. And the first question is, what experience do you have in reading, writing, or interpreting regulations and law?
I don't have a lot of experience in that. I did help, one of my positions at Shriners Hospitals for Children was helping to maintain their accreditation in biomedical aspects and then environment of care, emergency management, and it helped with some of their security grant writing and trying to help do trainings and things like that.
Okay. The second question, describe any experience you have had working as a member of a board or commission in or outside of government.
I volunteered, well, it was part of the Council on Aging here for the town a number of years ago. Trying to think of something. And I'm part of a medical reserve corps as a non-medical volunteer responder, just pre-credentialed in case of emergency for Hampden, Hampshire County.
So what experience do you have in reading and interpreting blueprints, plot plans, and schematics?
So my training is in architectural design and building engineering. I did work with an architecture firm. Years ago, I had a small business doing some design work. And I currently work as project coordinator for a Harry Gratzky company, it's HVAC company. So I mainly do their permitting, billing, change order, subcontracts, different things like that.
Yep.
And I was a contract coordinator in their service department for a couple of years.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question along those lines? All vertical construction or site work as well? Your background.
So
Vertical construction meaning like buildings or infrastructure?
so for Harry Gratzky and Company, it's both fit out infrastructure, design, build, construction, and service. And then my design background is just small scale residential, commercial.
Okay, but for Gratzky, it is Gratzky, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
For Gratzky, do you have to review site plans for underground utilities, or are you talking infrastructure like mechanical?
So they
designs?
are
That's what I'm trying to figure out is what kind of plans.
that I would read.
Yeah.
So for my job itself, I don't actually have to read them. I happen to sit in on meetings and do some of that. Like a little bit of a assistant project manager role.
Yep.
But I'm mainly in the paperwork side, so I'm mainly doing
Process, admin.
administrative stuff.
Construction management. Yep, got it. Sorry, thank you.
No,
Just trying to understand the role.
Yeah, no, it's
that's okay. Yep. very briefly describe an impression or facts you know about the town of Hampden and its future.
Okay, so I've lived here 50 years and I know the town from growing up, the history with Thornton W. Burgess and the story writing, the Laughing Brook Audubon Society. You know, it's a terrific community. I was raised here, I raised my kids here. I think of it as a terrific small town. I love that we don't have like a street light or, you know, things like that. But I know it's been growing significantly since I was young, and actually had looked to see if you had a mission statement or something like that for the planning board, because I am interested in knowing what the future holds for the town.
Yeah. It's,
I don't know.
yeah, there's no mission statement.
There is no mission.
Those are reserved for
I
business.
saw a purpose, but
There is
yeah.
a purpose.
your mission statement.
Mission statements are business.
Okay.
Everybody wants that.
Okay.
What steps do you take when analyzing a complex problem?
Like the other applicants had indicated, I think that collecting all of the information and making sure that you know who's impacted, what kinds of problems and opportunities exist, and trying to find out what our role is supposed to be, what governing authorities having jurisdiction exist there, and how to move forward. It's kind of, it could be seen as a great opportunity to work within a framework of whatever zoning bylaws or things like that exist. I think of that when I'm designing a building, for example, and I would take a problem between people or anything else in similar manner, I think.
Okay. So if you were on the other side of the table and you were interviewing someone for this vacancy, what traits would you be looking for?
That's a good question. I thought both of the other people interviewed really well. They have free time. They're both retiring. But I think that the love of the town and the interest in service, just being
To the
a
community.
good citizen to your community members and taking an interest in everyone's well-being is really part of what I imagine is important.
Good. And then the last question from the chair of the select board. What do you see is the mission of a planning board?
I don't know. I don't know
So
enough
there's no
about the
mission
differences
statement.
between the planning board and the zoning board of appeals or the different entities that exist. So I would have to really kind of do a lot of research. I printed out the bylaws today,
You
but
did,
I
okay.
haven't gotten a chance to read them yet. So I'm a little bit at a loss on that.
That's okay.
Okay.
Not a problem. No, no worries. No worries. Those are the questions from the selectmen or select chairman. Jason,
Yeah.
I'll let you go first.
So I've got some template questions that I asked, but I'm gonna probably ask you a couple of different ones. Basic one is any economic development, real estate development, or land use planning experience. Or would you like to elaborate on any of your professional experience as far as architecture and designing?
You know, I was more involved before I had children and then got away from it. And after, as I was raising them and doing some small design work for community projects or residential, it didn't have a lot of like urban use or planning in that. I have supported some of the projects around town, cleanup efforts or working on blazing trails for parks and things like that. But I really haven't been involved in like actual planning layout or community development until since like school age.
Okay. And then, have you ever, can you describe, have you been in a situation at work or either in your professional or volunteer life where you've had to deal with a controversial issue, and how do you go about, I guess, getting your point across, or getting folks to come to an agreement? Do you have any examples of that sort of scenario?
That's a tricky one. I think getting buy-in is always a challenge, and the position that I'm in currently, because I'm mainly there to facilitate the smooth operation of everything, I am less confrontational, more just supportive and bringing people what they need in order to keep the process moving forward. So in some ways, I think I do take a little bit of a black and white view as well on things if it's a legal matter, and getting down to real logistics. The details kind of usually shake out, and people have to accept certain things that they don't like it.
Yeah, I actually asked that question because you mentioned being in like project teams and sit
Yes.
down meetings, and I remember a lot of that. So
Yeah, it can get a little contentious.
it can get, yes, it can get a little challenging. And then I think that's all I got. You touched on the emotional question that I was going to ask, so I think I'm good. Thank you.
So as somebody that grew up here and raised your kids here, do you have a vision of how you see the town? Say, you said you've been here for 50 years, like 50 years from now.
Yeah, you know, I'd love to see it still have the character of a small town, like a small New England town where people would love to come and see actually people raising their hands in this auditorium when they're voting, or, you know, raising those like voter cards and things like that. I'm not anti-development, obviously, with my background being in architecture, but at the same time, I just cherish what we've had here and the terrific community that we have. So I like to nurture it.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It was a question, but
Go for it.
Okay.
You got another one? Go for it.
what do you think are some of your strengths from either professional or personal life that you could bring to the planning board?
I do have a lot of background in, reading code and drawing and understanding development. I feel comfortable with both the big picture and the real minutia or small detail. And I think that I get along pretty well with people and navigate well in situations where there might be some high emotion.
Jason, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, my follow-up question was just more of a, you've spent quite some time. I came from a different town where I spent a lot of my time growing up, and I watched it change substantially. How much have you seen Hampden change, or does it still feel like it did when you were a kid?
Yeah, it feels a lot like it did when I was a kid. When my children now are 22 and 23, and when they were going to Green Meadows and I lived up on Main Street, I would let them take walkie-talkies and communicate and stuff like this. And I still feel like people would be able to let their children ride their bikes around town or walk. And I hear other people in small communities saying, oh, I would never do that, and things like that. And then I just kind of like, I think I might have been tutoring your husband when I was in labor with my second child, and I remember being St. John's kids, and yeah, so it's a kind of there are pluses and minuses, of course, but it's a great just a great place.
Yeah, I was just asking that because I came from a neighboring town that
Yes,
changed quite a bit.
it does, and then there are certain things you think, I'd love to put a wrecking ball to a certain
Right.
building or something like that, but that's a different story.
Or they put a wrecking ball to your elementary school.
They did.
They did. They did last week. It's all
That's
down.
right. It's gone.
To your old elementary school?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
They built a new fancy one
Yes. Behind it, I think.
right behind it, right where the soccer fields were and the baseball diamonds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Ludlow. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Good.
Yep, good. Thank you.
So these are my questions that I have. And so why do you have an interest in becoming a planning board member?
That's a very good question. Because I've been joking that I'm not sure. I know it should be a lot of work. And it just really is that I value the community. I knew that there had been some losses and I don't know the details of what's going on in
Yeah.
town right now. But I just wanted to serve if it was.
I mean, your resume here shows that, you were a teacher, so obviously you have some of that in you. I'm saying you're an art teacher and a general math and again, a graduate from Rensselaer in the architecture program. So, yeah. So the next question I have is, do you have any background in town or city government? You had said you did some stuff for the Council of the Aging here in
Right.
Hampton.
So in terms of doing anything directly with the government, probably not. Like I volunteered for counting elections. I've done some, I was working at the senior center for a while, so I have some connections there. I've volunteered there. I think that the closest to some community work would maybe have been when I was working with the security group at Shriners, because we were able to try to put together an active shooter training that included all levels of government, including MEMA, FEMA, state troopers.
City police, yeah.
Even we tried to get the FBI and ATF in, but we weren't successful. But we had terrific involvement from all sorts of great groups. And
So the next question is, what is your profession? But you're a project coordinator for Grodzki. I'm going to say, I think one of their big projects right now is Bay State.
they are working on the Hospital of the Future at Bay State.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Currently, they have a significant number of jobs going on. I think
All throughout the,
we have locations in Connecticut
Yeah.
and Massachusetts. Yeah.
yes, yeah, okay. And so your business with Grodzki, or your profession with Grodzki, is trying to maintain and keep some of these jobs on schedule?
Yes, so a project manager might manage about maybe between like 2 and 10 jobs, but I kind of coordinate about, my current load is maybe 160 active jobs, so I keep the project managers and APMs on track for their billing schedules and AIA documentation and permitting and things like that. Check man loading, do coding, data entry, that kind of paperwork stuff for those.
Yes, okay,
But the HOF is one of my jobs right now.
okay.
Hated those AIA payment recs.
There you go.
AIA payment recs?
Yes,
So use those.
I create those. They are a joy, right?
Next question I have, are you flexible with your schedule? In other words, if we get busy, where we may need some extra meetings, traditionally, we meet the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month. And if we get busy, are you able to attend more meetings during the month, or how is that?
Yes.
Okay, good enough. Are you comfortable speaking to make a point in front of people? As well as, we're televised now, so.
Yeah, I'm not accustomed to the televised, but Yeah, I'm comfortable speaking
You are.
generally.
Okay. Are you part of any social media?
I have a LinkedIn profile,
Mhm.
but that's it.
That's it. Okay. Any special interests in groups in town? Are you a member of any special interest groups in town?
I don't think so.
Okay. And obviously, like you said, you printed the bylaws today, so you're not familiar with them yet, but okay,
If you can get through specs. you can
Yeah.
get through
Right,
construction,
right.
fine with those.
yes, yeah,
Easy.
yes. Okay. Any other? So what, you obviously heard it before. The process is my associates here and myself, we'll get together and we speak about, what we feel is the strong points in every person that we've interviewed. And then we would nominate somebody to go forward to the Board of Selectmen. And we would meet with the Board of Selectmen and then have a, whether you're nominated or not, the Board of Selectmen meets with us, or we meet with the Board of Selectmen. Okay. Good. Any other questions you may have of us?
Well, how long have each of you been on the board, and it doesn't take.
John will go first.
I've been on for a while.
Forever.
Yeah, for quite a while. Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay.
Is it 15 years?
I've been here
Bob?
11 or 12, so you were
So-
here before.
Oh, so 15 years.
15 years.
John may have a better.
When I left, and Neil was on, we were on with Neil.
He was on with
I was on with Neil and Charlie. Yeah,
Yeah, 06, 07, something like that.
something like that. Okay.
Okay.
So I've been here for a while. That's right. God invented dirt and then I joined. So, no, I've been on for a while.
Okay.
In my experience, it can be very frustrating at times and it can be very rewarding at times. Okay. So I've been in town for a long time myself. I say a long time. My parents moved my family to Hampden in, I think, 1966 or somewhere around in that time frame. So I was in junior high in this building here. Okay, so first class to graduate out of Thornton Burgess.
Okay.
And it was only a half year because we stayed here for beginning of the year and then graduated out of Thornton Burgess the second. It wasn't ready. So, yeah, I remember an awful lot riding my bicycle.
Yeah.
They were working on Main Street. Okay. I can go through the history. There was I'm going to say a boarding house or whatever up on the hill. And I can remember, yeah, I know. I can remember riding by it when I was a kid. Okay. I can remember when they put the golf course in. So, I saw a friend of mine that I
That was
went,
only a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
right? Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. So anyways, yes, I've been here for quite a while. And, I was kind of raised here. My friends have all moved out that were my age, my high school friends. But I still have high school friends that are in Wilbraham. But I made friends here in Hampden also, older people so yeah, it is a very nice town, I'll tell you that.
I think I've been on for 3 years, 2019, 2018, actually.
Yeah.
2018. So yeah, 3 years. I grew up in a different neighboring town. I'm a glutton for punishment, so I always volunteer to join all sorts of committees. So here in Hampden, I joined the planning board, board of assessors. My previous town, I was board of selectmen, conservation commission, chairman of the master plan committee for 6 years. I'm forgetting a couple, I'm sure, but I don't know, I grew up with, I grew up just like most of you guys did in a small town, and I always wanted to get involved in the community. And my whole master plan committee over in Ludlow was partly related to me growing up in town and watching it develop a lot quicker than I wanted to see it develop. So, but that's, that was another life. So now I'm here, I'm happy. We're in a small town and I've had a great time. Been here for 3 years and wouldn't change it. I like doing the government work. I was also a political science major in college and then changed my senior year because I didn't want to go into politics. Got a double major.
Good move.
Yeah. So my senior year changed and ended up doing a double major for earth sciences, geology, and then got into engineering. Here I am getting into politics in my adult
Yeah.
life.
Circle.
I've only been on for not even a year yet, but you know my husband, so. Still not very good at that. We moved back here 4 years ago to raise our kids in this town because he grew up here and just liked it. And my in-laws obviously live here, so we just like that small community.
Very good. Thank you for your time again. Seeing no other business, I'm looking at you, Joanne.
No other business.
No other business. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
You need to say.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry. Wasn't too much. Motion.
Yes.
I hope. Mandy, you said it.
Hope so.